All right, so the archer wants to know how long the shaft is, and the shaft is this portion right here. It's the long part in the middle. This is the fletching on the end, which is the feather parts, and then the arrowhead is at the front, which is the tip. So we want to know what the shaft size is. Right, so we have some information. The head is 1 7/8 inches. The fletching and knock are 6 1/4. The knock is that part at the very end that holds the string. And then the entire thing from one end to the other, all of it, is 29 1/2 inches. But she just wants to know this little portion. So this is going to be a multi-step problem because first we need to add together the head and the fletching, and then we will subtract from the entire length to see what we end up with. So let's start there. I will have 1 7/8 plus 6 1/4. Now, I cannot add these because they do not have a common denominator yet. And I can see already that the common denominator between 8 and 4 is going to be 8. So I'm just dealing with the fractional parts at this point. 7/8 is great because I don't have to change anything. It just transfers over. But I have to make 1/4 into 8ths. So 4 times 2 is 8. And what I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 1 times 2 is 2. So now, again, I'm just going to use the fractional parts to do my math. And I get 7/8 plus 2/8. When I add the numerators, I get 9, and I keep my denominator of 8. Now, 9/8 is not in its lowest terms, so I'm going to change it. And it's going to become 1 1/8. Now, this is going to be important in just a minute because this whole number is going to be added into my other whole numbers. So 6 plus 1 plus this extra 1 over here gives me 8. And then I have 1/8 left. 8 1/8. Now, I'm not finished because this just tells me how much the head and the fletching is, but I want to know the shaft. So I'm going to have to subtract this 8 1/8 from 29 1/2. So I'm going to set up my next problem, 29 1/2 minus 8 1/8. Again, I have an issue because they do not have common denominators. So I need to change that. And a common denominator between 2 and 8 is going to also be 8. So to get from 2 to 8, I multiply by 4. So what I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 1 times 4 is 4. And then 1/8 stays 1/8. Now I can subtract. 4 minus 1 equals 3 and keep my same denominator. And now I can subtract my 29 minus 8, which will leave me with 21. So the shaft part is 21 3/8 inches long.